Okay, I want to explain this. So you have Muskegon Heights in downtown Muskegon, and then you have another city known as Grand Rapids, and then and then you got Holland. And between these areas, there is quote unquote supposedly gang activity. And to be honest, this is honest. I'm being honest and I'm being sincere. There's a difference between criminal activity and gang activity. In the area of Muskegon Heights, people are doing the same thing they were doing 20, 30, 40 years ago in the inner city with black people, even Hispanic people. But in Muskegon Heights, predominantly black people, there's drug dealing, there's murders, there's robberies. That's something that naturally occurs without gangs. You don't need to be a part of a gang to sell drugs or to kill people or to rob people. That's been happening anyway. But with the but through Hollywood, through television, through movies, through music, there has been a promotion of street gangs. In Muskegon Heights, a lot of people will wear red and say that they're a blood. And real bloods don't say cuz, Crips say cuz. In Muskegon Heights, you see people wearing red saying they're blood, but they call each other cuz. Bloods don't say cuz, only Crips say cuz. Bloods say blood. Like when bloods meet each other, they say like, what's up, blood? Blah 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 blah. What's up, blood? They say blood. When Crips meet each other, they say what's up, cuz, or they say loke, and loke comes from loco. Like loco is a Hispanic. Loco is like what you hear in a barrio. Like you hear like 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 um like 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 the like you say like loco is what you hear in a barrio, like flaco loco, or like flaco loco or gordo loco or something like that, or you know like you hear a name like oso, like somebody's name is Bear, they call somebody Bear. In Spanish they say osos loco, you know what I mean, like that. And uh you hear stuff like trucha, trucha is more Salvadorian, but it means like stay alert, stay aware. Or you can say like the cops are coming, like truchas are coming, like the cops are coming, right? But so in Muskegon Heights, you've had older neighborhoods like Wood Street, or like the West Side, or the Projects, or the South Side, who were already there, and then now they're saying they're from these areas, but they're also Bloods. And the Blood gang is a culture within itself. There's people who are members of Crips and Bloods, or Sureño gangs, who aren't necessarily involved in criminal activity like robberies and killings. Like there's people who grow up in certain neighborhoods in Los Angeles who are in a gang, but they're not necessarily out there breaking in cars and getting into robberies. They probably get into fights and stuff or whatever, but they're not, they just live in the neighborhood. They might go on to get a job somewhere. They might turn 18 and go get a job somewhere and have some kids, and it's over with. So, being from an actual gang is a culture. And so in Muskegon Heights, a lot of people are wearing red, and then they get the thing mixed up with the People's Nation and the Folks Nation, which has nothing to do with Bloods and Crips. Which has nothing to do with Bloods and Crips. But with the Bloods, you do have the Black P Stones, which came from O.G.T. Rogers, who was from Chicago, and he brought the Black P Stone Nation to Los Angeles. and he helped co-found the Bloods. But the Black P Stones Los Angeles, I don't think they use. They don't use a 5-pointed star. They don't use any of that. They just say they're Black P Stones. They're Bloods. So the Black P Stones in Chicago and LA, there is a difference. But for the rest of the Bloods, they don't. Like you don't see Crips with 6 points. So that's something that's folks or peoples in Chicago. Then LA, you say Crips or Bloods. But now going back to Los Angeles, some of the blood gangs, some of the gangs that people are saying are Bloods are older than, like Denver Lanes was around. The Denver Lanes and the Bottoms over in Inglewood, that's been around way before the Bloods existed. The Denver Lanes were around back in like the 60s, maybe even going back further than that. You know, like OGT Rogers was saying, there were white gangs that hunted people, that hunted black people or Hispanic people, called the spook hunters. Let me think. So Hollywood has promoted these gangs, like how does a gang like the Bloods end up all the way in New York City? That's or how not I'm not it's not even I'm just, like the Crips too, the Crips or any gang. How do they end? How does it end up starting in Los Angeles and then moves all the way to New York City? You would think a place like New York City would have their own gangs. Like in New York City, you see people who are from the folks or the People's Nation who claim gangs. Then you see people who represent Blood. You would think New York City would have their own stuff. You know, I'm sure they do sometimes, but they adopt trends and gangs from out of town. Like in Chicago, they have their own stuff. The Peoples and the folks, they have their own stuff. And then Los Angeles people have their own stuff. But that's one of the things in the Muskegon area, in the Michigan area, like Detroit. Like Detroit's been around. Detroit's always had like hustler crews and things like that. But how do they adopt the LA image? You know, and then the same thing with any Hispanic gang or any Crip gang. You know, like those are cultures, and the individuals are just individuals put on colors, and they don't know that what they're saying comes from what they're speaking comes from a culture. Like you can't just put on a color. Like somebody can't just put on red and sit there and say they're a Blood, and then call people cuz that's a culture that comes from. And you know, the same thing with the Crips, or same thing with 18 or MS or whatever. Those are cultures. That stuff comes from its own. That stuff has its own culture. You know what I mean? Like a clique of 18th Street. A clique of 18th Street goes back to the foundation, to the beginning of 18th Street. Like a lot of people have seen like rappers and stuff who are from Tiny Winos, but Tiny Winos goes back way back to way back to the old school, from the original like the old school stuff. Like there was a clique of Tiny Winos, you know, and now it's all over. Now it's all over the place. Same thing with any other clique. It goes back. So like you have to be able to have history and identity. People can't just put on colors and run around. You know what I mean? It doesn't. I mean, I guess you can. You know, like, but it doesn't really. You know, it doesn't really mean anything if you don't know if you don't have any real knowledge or any real history or any foundation. Like if you can't go communicate with the people who founded that street organization, then there's something wrong. If you can't go communicate with the people who constructed the organization, then you know there's something wrong. If you can't explain it.